Good morning, happy Saturday. Today we are going to move through a 90-minute flow with a focus on balance. So this was requested by Marie, so I hope you're here. And if anyone doesn't like balance, we can blame her. So the first thing I want to say about balance is that it's a lot more mentally challenging than some other poses, and we can often stop ourselves at the mental stage before even starting to work out the physical stage. So if the word balance has sort of already made you go, "Ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for that this morning," let's try and work past that barrier and have a little bit of fun with it instead. So take a moment to give yourself permission to fall over. And if you're a little bit worried, having a wall by you or maybe a chair near a mat is a really good idea, so we can just have a bit of added support if we want it. I don't really have a wall, so if I fall over, you can all laugh at me and it will be fun. And we're going to start standing in our Tadasana. Good morning, Eve. I've got someone behind the camera telling me all the comments. Hello. We're going to start standing in our Tadasana. So feet hip distance apart to start. Turning the toes to point forward. And just taking a moment to look down at your feet and getting a little understanding of how we use our feet on the mat. So really grounding, maybe having a play with taking the weight to the inside edges and the outside edges, toward the front and the back. And then as firmly as you can, without causing too much tension, ground the whole foot into the mat, both of your feet into the mat. Feeling a stable connection. And this connection is going to hold us as we start to soften through the rest of the body. Let the knees take a little bit of a bend. Let the hips and the belly be soft. The shoulders relax back and down to open across the chest. And when you feel comfortable, the eyes close. And on the closure of your eyes, you might start to notice the body move. And that's okay, let that happen. So maybe there is a bit of a sway one way or another. Let's not fight that movement. Instead, let's really tune into it. These subtleties that happen without our attention most of the time, let's start to bring our awareness to the detail now. And often it's when we fight these subtle movements that we lose our balance. When we try and be as still as a statue, we're working against ourselves. So instead, through the balancing sequences that we run through today, letting this sway happen, letting a little bit of movement happen, softness. This is life. So we're connected downward through the soles of our feet, but everything else is gentle, is swaying, is soft. And start to bring your awareness to your breathing. And very likely this breathing is the cause of most of our movement as we stand here. So notice how the breath rises the belly and expands the chest. And on the exhale, how everything softens. Maybe you notice you rock forward slightly as you inhale, as the weight pulls into the front body. And rock back slightly as you exhale, and if your movement is different, that's okay, just tuning into it. Working on drawing the breath deeper. And deeper still. So we're breathing in and out through the nose. We're going to start to work toward our Ujjayi breath, our victorious breath. And we want to maintain this breath as much as possible as we move through our practice today. So the Ujjayi breath is a long breath in and out through the nose with a constriction at the throat, just ever so slightly, to make each breath even from start to end. So we're breathing at the same rate through each breath. So take a moment as you breathe, swallow a couple of times and notice that point on your throat where you feel yourself swallow. That's the point we want to start to tighten or make smaller. So finding that swallow point and drawing it in. And as the breath travels through it, it feels almost like you're breathing in and out through a straw. And the breath starts to make a sound like the waves of the ocean on a gentle day. And the breath starts to feel like a full body breath. You're using every part of your being. And this is the breath that we're going to move with. And if at any point through the practice you notice that you have stopped breathing, or your breath has started to catch or tighten, ease out of the physical shape that you're making and come back to this rhythm. Full inhale, long exhale. On your next exhale, draw your chin down toward your chest, lengthening out the back of the neck. Keep your eyes closed if you can. Inhale here. Then on the exhale, feel the arms go really heavy in front of you, roll the shoulders forward. Inhale here, you might want to soften through the knees some more now. As you exhale, the arms go even heavier. We're curling through the upper back. Inhale here to fill it out. Notice where the breath starts to move to. Then as you exhale, soften the knees some more, curl through the middle back. Arms are super heavy. Inhale here. Then use the exhale, soften the knees generously, rest your belly on the thighs, open across the lower back, across the glutes, across the back of the legs, let the head go heavy. Finding your Uttanasana, your forward fold, let this be soft like a ragdoll. Still feeling the connection between the soles of your feet and your mat, that stable, steady connection. If you want to bring some movement in here, you might want to nod or shake the head, making sure that we're not tensing through the neck or the jaw. You might want to gently move the torso one way then the other. Keeping the eyes closed down and just feeling it out. And with the eyes closed, you might notice more the way that you use your body weight, the way that it shifts one way then the other if you're swaying. Or maybe the way as you come into a forward fold that it shifts forward toward your toes. Let's take a couple more big breaths here. And then keeping the knees soft, we're going to come back up to standing and we're going to do it super slowly. Press back through the heels and start to roll up, stacking vertebra on vertebra from the lower back up. So it's like you're building a tall tower. Breathing as you move. And as you draw yourself up to standing, the crown of the head starts to reach up toward the ceiling. Keep grounding through the soles of the feet. Let's draw shoulders into ears. And then roll the shoulders back and downward toward the kidneys. Turn the palms to face forward. Now we're more active in our Tadasana. Really ground through the feet, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Start to find space in your body. You can keep the eyes closed here if this is feeling right, or if you wish to start to blink them open, do so, but just work with a soft gaze gently toward the mat in front of you. All right, we're all gonna lift and spread our toes out. As you do that, as the toes come off the mat, feel the arches of the feet also lift. So we're standing on 3 points of the foot, the ball of the big toe, the ball of the little toe, and the heel. We wanna keep the arches lifted. Mindfully, carefully, maybe even one at a time, place your toes back down on the mat. Arches are still lifted. Travel your awareness up your legs now. Ankles are stable. We're moving up toward the knees. The knees stay a little soft, so we're not hyperextending, but we want to activate the muscles around the knees. So switch those legs on. Ground through the feet. Activate the muscles around the knees. Travel up your legs even further and start to bring your awareness to your thighs, the front and the inner thighs. Imagine you're holding something in between your legs, you're squeezing into it and wrapping it back behind you. So the thighs are wrapping in and back. This starts to encourage a draw together of the pelvic floor and a lift. As you lift through the pelvic floor, allow the belly button to move toward the lower back. The tailbone draws down slightly. And then the lift travels up through your center. The sternum rises. The collarbones spread. And the shoulders stay relaxed. Lengthen up through the crown of the head a little bit more. Notice if you've started to jut your chin out, this will send you off balance because we're starting to pull weight back. Or lift your chin up and draw your chin in toward your throat. Let's take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. On the next inhale, we're going to press into the toes and lift the heels. Not thinking too much about it. As you exhale, ground the heels back down. Again, inhale, lift the heels up, pressing into the toes. Exhale a little slower, place the heels back down. One more time, inhale a slower lift. Exhale a slower lower. So we can stay with the feet hip distance apart. We're going to make our way down into a squat. If you know coming into your malasana you need to take your feet wider than this, now is a good time. Shift them out, shoulder distance or even mat distance. And I'm going to turn my toes out slightly because that's what I need to do for my hips as I come down. You might need to do the same. You might be able to work with your feet parallel. So grounding through the soles of the feet. As you inhale, let's send the arms forward and up, nice and slow, working through the transitions, not rushing to the destinations. And then as you exhale, we're going to bend the knees, pull the weight back into the hips, and the heels reach the hands forward. We're not going all the way down on this first one. Press down through the soles of the feet, inhale, lift back up, active through the legs. Pull the weight back, exhale, sit a little lower. One more time, inhale. Exhale, sit all the way down into a variation of your malasana. If you have worked your feet a little closer than you're used to, this is great. This is where we want to be, reaching forward, but the weight is right back into the heels. And this is an exploration here of how low we can go. For 3, are we still breathing? For 2, 1, hands are going to come down to the mat in front of us. We're going to rock the weight forward into the toes, bring the knees down and come into a tabletop. I'm going to turn side on to you now. So as you make your way into your tabletop, untuck the toes and press gently through the tops of the feet. After that flexion of the ankles, it can feel nice to lengthen them out. Knees are underneath hips. Hands are underneath shoulders. Shoulders are in line, hips are in line. So start to feel those four corners of your torso. And we want the corners of the torso to stay even as we move through the next little bit. So we're just going to lift the left hand up off the mat, spread the fingers out, and mindfully place the left hand back down. Just like we placed our feet before. The hands want to connect to the mat in a meaningful way. They're not just there. We're using them. So spread the fingers out, grip into the fingertips, lift up the right hand, mindfully place it back down onto the mat. All right, so we're pressing the arms towards straight. Again, we don't want a hyperextension of the elbows. So if you have a tendency to do that and the elbows are rolling forward and bending backwards slightly, soften the elbows. But the arms are pressing towards straight, the palms are pressing into the mat, the space between the shoulder blades is drawing up toward the ceiling. Draw belly button to lower back. Create as much space between your hips and your shoulders as you can. And just taking a few big ujjayi breaths to settle into this shape, this stable shape. And then we're going to keep the stability of the four corners, the shoulders and the sit bones, but we're going to take away bits of the base. So keeping the shoulders even, start to connect to the mat more completely through your right hand. Get light in your left hand. You can keep your fingertips down if that's where you want to be today. Otherwise, the left hand lifts up off the mat. Shoulders are still even. We're going to inhale here. Then on the exhale, reach the left hand forward and feel the belly hollow out to keep you stable. Inhale, draw the hand back toward you. Exhale, reach the left hand forward. One more time, inhale, draw the hand back toward you. Exhale, reach the left hand forward. Now we might want to stay here, or we're going to start to pick the right knee up off the mat as well, not letting the hips sway. If the right knee is lifted, start to send the right leg back behind you, flex the foot, heel up, toes down. Keep the hips even. Reach as long as you can between your left fingertips and your right heel, but keep the shoulders in line, the hips in line, the breath steady for 3, 2, 1. Slowly bend through the right knee. The right knee is going to come down underneath the right hip. The left arm is staying up. A little bit of a challenge. We're going to press now into the right knee. Keep the hips and the shoulders as even as you can. Send the left leg back behind you. All on one side. For 3, reach through your left heel and your left fingertips. For 2, keep rolling your left shoulder and hip down. For 1, and then nice and slow and controlled, left knee bends and comes back down to the mat. Left hand comes back down to the mat. Spread the fingers, press into the palm. Let's take 3 breaths of free movement here in your tabletop. You might want to take some cat-cow. You might want to rock side to side. If you felt yourself start to stiffen and tighten through these little balances, loosen up now, remembering the intention of fun, of lightness, of exploration. All right, coming back toward your tabletop when you're ready, just checking your lines, finding the 4 corners of your torso, keeping them even. This time we're working the right hand away from the mat, so it doesn't need to happen all at once. Maybe pressing into the fingertips, just lifting the palm up, the shoulders stay even. And then connecting downward through your left hand, lift your right hand off the mat. We're going to inhale here. Use the exhale, reach the hand forward, feel the belly hollow out to stabilize. Inhale, draw the hand back. Shoulders are still even. Exhale, reach the right hand forward. One more time, inhale. exhale. Okay, we're keeping that right hand forward. We're going to start to work the left knee away from the mat. So this is optional. If you just want to work with the hand, please do so. So there's already a lot going on to stabilize the rest of the body. Otherwise, we slowly pick up the left knee and start to send the left leg back behind us. Foot is flexed, heel is up, toes are down. The left thigh is wrapping inward toward the right thigh. So the pelvic floor is still engaged. Belly button is drawing upward toward the lower back. Draw back through the heel, forward through the fingertips. Shoulders and hips are as square as we can get them for 3. Still breathing. For 2. For 1. Keeping the right arm forward if possible. Slow motion. Start to bend through the left knee. And carefully place the left knee back down underneath the left hip. Okay, a little challenge. So we're going to press into the left knee now, trying as much as possible to keep the weight, or the hips and the shoulders even. Start to pick your right foot up off the mat. Send the right heel back, the right fingertips forward, roll the right hip and the right shoulder down for 3, 2, 1, slowly right knee comes back down, and then right hand comes back down. And again, give yourself a bit of free movement. Tune back into your breathing. Notice how your mind responded to those challenges. So what happens in the mind when the challenge presents itself? And if we immediately say, oh, no, I can't do that, that's where we need to start working. Because even if maybe physically today some of the balances aren't accessible, that's okay. But it's not a can't. It doesn't mean it will never happen. We want to be curious. We want to be open to possibility. And then maybe we can start to allow ourselves to experience change. Let's take a moment, take the knees nice and wide, bring the big toes together, draw hips back to heels, forehead down either to your palms or to the mat. Take a rest in your balasana, your child's pose, and know that this is one you can come back to at any point through this practice as you need. Feel the points of connection that you have with the mat here. Across the tops of the ankles, right up to the knees, the forehead maybe, the elbows, and the forearms, the palms. Allow these places to go a little heavier. Let's lift our heads, look forward toward our hands, spread the fingers, connect with the mat. On the inhale, roll back up, tabletop. Draw your knees in to hip distance apart. Tuck your toes under. As you exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Let's take a few moments here, pedal out the feet, take any movement that feels right for you. Creating space through the backs of the legs, across the chest. Connecting downward and inward into your body. And then let's start to move the feet up toward the hands, coming toward the top of your mat. So let's choose now whether or not we want our feet to stay hip distance apart, or we can start to draw the feet a little closer. This is making your base smaller. By bringing the big toes together, you want to keep the heels slightly apart. So if this doesn't feel nice on your hips, keep the feet hip distance apart. I quite like to work my feet together. So knees are generously bent, belly on thighs. Hands are on the mat a little in front of you. The closer to your feet, again, the smaller your base. Let's press into the feet, but lift and spread the toes. Again, feel the arches of the feet lift. Keep the arches of the feet lifted, 1 and 2 at a time. Place your toes back down onto the mat and really grip down into them like a suction cap. Keep this grip downward. And you might even see the feet really whacking to connect down. And I read something this morning that the more you use your toes, the more active your feet and that connection is, the more active your calf muscles are. And then the more active your calf muscles are, that travels up your legs to make everything more active. So you're building from the bottom and drawing that activity upward, that stability, that strength. On your next inhale, we're going to run hands to shins, half lift, lengthen. Keep the gaze down. Exhale, fold back down over your legs. Keep the knees soft, keep the feet connected as you inhale, long spine to lift all the way up. Circle the arms wide and up toward your ceiling. Maybe the palms connect. And then as you exhale, draw your hands through the center line toward your heart, Anjali Mudra. Feel the length, the space in your body. Let's take a deep breath in. And a full breath out. And let's start to flow. Inhale, send the arms all the way up. Send the hands out to shoulder distance apart. Then as you exhale, draw the weight back into your heels. Sit the hips as low as possible. Sweep the hands down toward the mat. Fingertips touch. Keep the hips low. Inhale, lift up. Utkatasana. Squeeze the inner thighs. Exhale, sit a little lower. Now we're going to press down into the feet. Inhale, lift up to standing. And as we do, draw right knee up into chest. Keep the hips even as you exhale. Take a big step toward the back of the mat with your right foot. We're in our crescent lunge. Inhale, reach the hands up toward the ceiling. And then exhale, we're slowly going to release the right knee down. I'm going to untuck my back toes. You might want to keep yours tucked if that feels more stable. Squeeze the inner thighs. Inhale, reach the hands up. Then as you exhale, we're taking right hand forward, left hand back, finding a little bit of a twist. Reach for your front wall, reach for your back wall. We'll do this twice more. Inhale, turn to face forward. Exhale, right hand forward, left hand back. Find that twist. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Okay, inhale, the hands are going to come back up through center. As you exhale, circle the hands forward and down. Press the palms into the mat, frame your left foot, tuck your right toes, lift your right knee. Inhale, lift your left leg up toward the ceiling. We're going to look toward the left foot, turn the toes to point down, the heel to point up, flex the foot, hips are even. We might want to stay here, or we're going to have a little play with taking the right hand off the mat. So first coming up onto the fingertips, and then maybe picking the right palm up, playful with this movement. It doesn't mean anything if we fall, if we wobble. For 3, how are you using your body today? For 2, for 1, right hand comes down, left hand comes down, down dog. Take a deep breath in. Take a full breath out. Inhale, let's ripple forward toward our plank, shoulders over wrists for the length of the body. As you exhale, bring the knees straight down, low plank, untuck the toes. Inhale, rock even further forward, shoulders in front of your wrists, grip into your fingertips as if they're your tippy toes. Exhale, bend the elbows, lower thighs, hips, belly, chest, chin. Press through the tops of the feet, press through the pubic bone. Inhale, lift toward your cobra. Exhale, lower down. Tuck the toes under, press into the hands and the knees, press hips back to heels, and then press back up, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts toward the ceiling, 3-legged dog. Exhale, right knee draws toward your nose. Place your right foot in between your hands. Take the weight out of the hands, and we're going to inhale, lift up, crescent lunge. Press down into the right foot on the exhale. As slowly as you can on the inhale, draw your left knee up into your chest. And then we're going to exhale, take hands to hips. Feel your hips in space. Notice if the left hip is lifting above the right. Plug the left sit bone down. Draw the left knee up a little higher. And if you can not use your hand to do this, go for it. If you need to use your left hand to support, go for it. We're going to bring the left foot to the inside of the right thigh. Or if that's not accessible today, to the inside of the calf. And again, if you have a wall or a chair by you, you might want to just touch a fingertip lightly on it. And it's amazing how we don't need to use, our whole hand or our whole body to lean for support. Just the slightest touch can help us, and that really makes note of how mental this is. Okay, so foot to calf or foot to thigh, make sure that you're not pressing against your knees. Again, draw the left hip down if it feels like it's lifting. Ground through the sole of the right foot, lengthen up through the crown of the head. If you want to draw your hands away from your hips, you can, maybe hands to heart. And we're finding that Ujjayi breath. Feeling it ground and center your practice. You might want to stay here, or we're going to start to reach the hands up toward the ceiling. Right up through the center line, grow a little taller, a little longer. Once you're reaching as high as you can, let's separate the palms. A little challenge, we're going to keep the right arm up, inhale. As you exhale at the back of the left hand, fall down toward the left knee. Inhale, reach the right hand a little bit higher. We're going to sway in the breeze. As you exhale, lean your right hand over to the left. A big, nice stretch out for the right side body. For 3, 2, allow movement to happen here. And as you inhale, reach back up, right hand and then left. Remove your left foot from your right leg, left knee comes up into chest. And then as you exhale, slowly ground the left foot and bring the hands back down by your side, avoiding any need to fidget or to adjust. Just ground through both feet, close the eyes and let yourself stand for a moment. How does it feel to be on 2 feet? How does your left side feel? How does your right side feel? Maybe quite different. Take a few long, grounding breaths. And then we're going to start to come toward the other side. So if you're working with your feet together, make sure that they're together on this side as well. If you're working with your feet hip distance apart, make sure that they're there. Lift and spread the toes, connect downward through the soles of the feet. As you inhale, send your hands forward and up. As you exhale, draw the weight back into the hips and fold down. Keep the hips low. Inhale, send the hands forward and up, Utkatasana. Belly button to lower back. Exhale, sit the weight back into the heels. Take it a little lower. Then press down through the soles of the feet. As you inhale, rise. Left knee slowly comes up into your chest. Hips stay even. As you exhale, take a big step back with your left foot. Inhale, reach the arms up. Shoulders come over hips. Crescent lunge. And then the exhale slowly, carefully places the left knee down onto the mat. Left toes tucked or untucked, yogi's choice. Draw the inner thighs toward each other. Inhale, lengthen up through the fingertips. We're moving toward that twist as you exhale, left hand forward, right hand back. Keep your shoulders over your hips, touch the front wall, touch the back wall. Inhale, draw back up through the center line, nice and slow. We've got 2 more. Exhale, left hand forward, right hand back. One more time, inhale up through center. Exhale, left hand forward, right hand back. Inhale, come up through center. And then exhale, both hands circle forward and down. Fingertips find the mat. Mom, can you get me a clock? I've just realized I have no idea what time it is. So both hands are forward and down. We're going to plant the hands, spread the fingers, press into the palms, tuck the left toes, lift the left knee, and sweep the right leg back and up, finding our 3-legged dog. And you can look toward your right foot, look toward your hips, make sure they're even. The foot is flexed, the toes are pointing down, the heel is pointing up. The activity through that right leg with the flex of the foot is going to help keep us stable here. So really drive up and back through the heel. You might want to stay, or we're working to lift the left hand, thank you, up off the mat. Spreading through the fingers on the right hand, gripping into the fingertips, and then maybe lifting the palm of the left hand, just fingertips stabilize. Maybe one fingertip at a time, starting to bring the hand away from the mat, and then turning the corners of your mouth up, smiling, having some fun with this for 3. Letting yourself wobble and shake for 2. For 1. Left hand finds the mat. Deep breath in, and then use the exhale. Bring the right leg down, downward facing dog. Let's inhale, ripple forward, find a plank. You can move through a full vinyasa or coming with me. Exhale, bring the knees down, untuck the toes. Inhale, rock forward, shoulders in front of wrists, grip into the fingertips. Exhale, bend the elbows, low chaturanga, hips, belly, chest, chin. Inhale to your cobra or your up dog. And from your cobra, I'm going to give you the option to press straight up into your up dog by keeping the shape. So you can either lower straight down or press into hands and tops of the feet. Draw the arms to straight. Notice how lifted my hips are. We want to keep them high, but draw them forward. Chest between the upper arms. Keep drawing feet toward hands, feet toward hands. Use that movement to roll over the toes. Downward facing dog. So always lots of options for your vinyasa. And now the nice option is to skip it completely and find your down dog or your child's pose. Let's take a long breath in together. And a complete breath out. On the next inhale, the left leg is going to lift. As you exhale, draw your left knee toward your nose, look between your thumbs, and lightly step your left foot forward. Take weight into the foot, out of the hands. Inhale, reach up, crescent lunge. Exhale, press down through your left foot. Slowly as you can, inhale, pick your right foot up and draw your right knee up into your chest. Really draw up through the knee as much as you can, and then bring the sole of the foot either to the calf or the thigh. If you can do so without using your hand, go for it. And let's bring hands to hips. Notice where the hips are in space. And if we need to draw the right hip downward, work on that motion here. Checking back in with your breath. And really connecting downward through the sole of the left foot, upward through the crown of the head, being aware of the space in your body. Pressing foot into leg, leg back into foot, so there's an inward movement, just like the roll in of the thighs when we're standing on both feet, an inward and an upward lift through the center line. So you might want to keep your hands on your hips. You might want to bring them to your heart center. You might want to keep drawing up that center line until the hands reach up toward the ceiling. A little challenge, you can stay here or left hand reaches higher and the exhale brings the back of the right hand down toward the right knee. Inhale, left hand even higher. Let the body wobble a little bit. Keep the connection inward between the sole of the foot and the leg. As you exhale, start to lean it out to the right. Lengthening through your left side, stabilizing through the sole of your left foot. For 3, 2, 1. If you've leaned it out to the side, slowly lifting yourself back up to center. Let's reach the right hand up as well. No hands. Remove your foot from your left leg. Draw your right knee up, 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 up. Big breath in. And then exhale. Bring the foot down. Bring the hands down by your side. Close the eyes down. And again, trying not to bring too much movement in. Just standing. Just feeling. And just breathing. If you're working with your feet together and they are apart, you might want to start to shift them back together or make sure your feet are hip distance apart if that's where you're working. Connect downward through the soles of the feet, lengthen upward through the crown of the head. Let's inhale deeply and exhale fully. On your next breath in, circle your hands forward and up, rise up onto your tippy toes. Then as you exhale, draw the weight back into the heels, bend the knees, sit back toward your chair, brush your fingertips down to the mat. Keep the hips low, inhale, come on up, Utkatasana. Exhale, sit the hips a little lower, tilt the tailbone down. Slowly inhale, right knee draws up into your chest as you press to standing. Exhale, we're going to take a big step back with the right foot, finding our crescent lunge. Inhale, reach nice and high in your crescent lunge, and then we're peeling open warrior 2 on the exhale. Circle left hand forward, right hand back. Move nice and slowly now. We're going to turn to face the back of our mat. So as you inhale, draw the legs towards straight. Shifting through the feet as slowly as you can. Circle left hand forward, right hand back. You're in a twist. Big breath in. And then drawing the right hand down and up, pressing into your right foot. Draw left knee up into chest, facing toward the back of your mat. Oh my goodness, where are we going? Inhale here. And then with the exhale, left ankle crosses over the right knee. Start to draw the hips back. Ekapada Utkatasana, one-legged chair pose. Left foot is flexed, left knee is pressing down. You can keep the hands reaching forward. You can bring your hands toward your heart center. And yes, this is a balance, but this is also a really nice stretch out for that left glute. Taking a few big breaths for 3, 2, 1. We're going to have a play here. Another little challenge. This is one of my least favorite things to do. So come with me. We're going to start to reach downward toward the mat. So get as low as you can. Might not touch. We're going to bend that right knee. So maybe fingertips down. If you have a chair or a wall, this is a really nice time to use it. We're going to bend the right knee and come all the way down into a little squat. And then hands are either on whatever is helping support us, or fingertips are down either side of the body. Keep flexing the left foot, drawing the left knee down, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Stay here, or start to work your hands away from the mat. One fingertip at a time. Breathing. Maybe finding both hands off the mat for a moment and then supporting yourself again, having fun with it for 3, 2, 1. We are going to challenge ourselves to come back up. So it might look however it needs to look. For me, I need to lean forward to draw the weight back into my right heel. Keep the right knee bent. Inhale, rise. Eka Pada Utkatasana. And then draw left knee up into chest. Come to standing. Oh, it feels really nice to straighten out that right leg. So we're pointing toward the back of our mat. Big breath in. As you exhale, take a big step back with the left foot. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, open up, warrior 2. And then we're transitioning back to the front of the mat. So swiveling the feet slowly. Send your right hand forward, your left hand back. Find your twisted crescent lunge, big breath in. And then as you exhale, press down through the left foot. Start to sweep your left hand down. Inhale, draw your right knee up into your chest. Exhale, right foot comes down. Hands come down, avoiding any fidgeting. Just feeling yourself standing. Tuning back into your breathing. Feel just how grounded the soles of your feet are. And we're going to do that all on the other side. So blinking open the eyes, transferring weight into the toes. Inhale, lift the heels. Lift the hands forward and up. Get as tall as you can. As you exhale, draw weight back into the heels. Bend the knees generously. Sit into your chest. Sweep your fingertips down by your sides. Keep the knees this bent. Inhale, rise the arms. Utkatasana, tilt the tailbone down. Exhale, draw a little bit more weight into the heels. As we come to standing, the left knee comes up into the chest. Nice and slow. Inhale, hips are even. Exhale, a big step back with the left foot. Make these movements as slow as you can. Inhale, draw up, crescent lunge. And then exhale, peel open, warrior 2. So drawing that left heel down to the mat, left hip back. Transition the soles of the feet. Let's try and do this simultaneously with both feet. Inhale, pick the toes up and swivel to face the back of your mat. Exhale, right hand forward, left hand back. We've got a little twist. And then sweep your left hand forward, down, press into your left foot, and then up, pick the right foot up off the mat, draw right knee in toward your chest, flex the right foot, exhale, sit back into your one-legged chair. Taking a few breaths here, nice and high, keeping the arms up, or maybe bringing hands to heart. Draw weight back into the left heel, back into the sit bones. Flex the right foot, draw the right knee away from you. And this might be enough. You might want to stay here. You might want to support yourself. Or we're going to start to move as close to the mat as we can. So for me, I like to lower my torso first. I feel more stable this way, maybe even reaching fingertips down toward the mat. If you're super long through your Achilles and you can keep your heel down through this transition, work into that. If your heel needs to lift like mine, let that happen and start to come to a little balance. So left heel is sort of right up in the center of your, perineum? And then lengthen up through the crown of the head. Feel that long line of the spine, that connection upward. And that's what's going to help us find a little balance, maybe lifting one finger at a time away from the mat. Keep drawing up for 3. Smile. Have a play. For 2. For 1. And we're going to need to come back up to standing. So if you're all the way down, You have another way to do it, go for it. For me, for the way my body works with this shape, I need to lean forward quite a lot and then pick my hips up and draw the weight back again. Sole of the foot is grounded. Sit down into your one-legged chair, and then when you feel stable, lift your hands back up. Eka Pada Utkatasana. Take a deep breath in, a long breath out, and then rise to standing. Inhale, right knee up into chest. Let's reach the arms up. Nice and slow on the exhale, step that right foot back. Inhale, reach up, crescent lunge. Drop the right heel down, exhale, peel open, warrior two. We're swiveling back toward the front of the mat. Both feet at the same time. Swivel. Lunge toward the front of the mat, send your left arm forward, your right arm back. And then the exhale circles the right hand down. So we really press down into the right foot, sweep forward, lift the left knee up into the chest, reaching to standing, big breath in. And then use the exhale, bring the left foot down, the hands down. Notice if you're wanting to fidget or adjust, and let that go just for a moment. We can come to that in a minute. Let the breath settle. If your heart is beating fast like mine is, let the heart settle. All right, if you are needing to adjust your feet, go for it. Feet are the hip distance apart or together. Standing tall in your Tadasana, turning palms to face forward. Let's take a long breath in. A full breath out. Press the weight forward into your toes as you inhale. Lift your heels, lift your hands. As you exhale, bend the knees, draw the weight back into your heels, brush your fingertips down to the mat. Keep the knees as bent as they are. Inhale, lift up, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold all the way down, Uttanasana, lift and spread through the sit bones. Inhale, Adho Uttanasana, half lift, lengthen out. Exhale, soften and fold, plant your hands down onto the mat. Step your feet back, press into your down dog. Take a deep breath in your down dog, wrap your armpits in toward each other. And a long breath out. Inhale, ripple forward to your plank. You can bring the knees down, or you might want to keep them lifted. Exhale, move through your vinyasa. So full chaturanga, half chaturanga, cobra or upward facing dog. If you're in your cobra, make sure you lower down first before moving up and back, down dog. If you're in your up dog, over the toes, press back, downward facing dog. Let's take a deep breath in together. And a full breath out. As you inhale, pick the right foot up off the mat, send the right leg nice and high. As you exhale, bend the knee, peel open the hip. Switch the gaze up underneath the right armpit. You might want to stay here, or you might want to bring the left elbow down toward the mat. Again, a little play with transitioning body weight, but keeping stability. Press firmly into your right hand if you're taking that option of dropping the elbow. For 3, can you draw the right knee any higher? For 2. For 1. If your left elbow is down, press into your left hand, lift it back up. And then we're using the next exhale to draw the right knee toward the right tricep. Let the lower belly hollow out with the out breath. And then we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. So a nice big lizard lunge. Right knee over right ankle, right knee to the outside of the right shoulder. Hands are directly underneath the shoulders. Left heel presses back, left hip presses forward. This is feeling quite strong today. We can bring that back knee down. Work with the toes tucked or untucked, whatever feels best to you. So wherever we are, we want to really be squeezing the inner thighs because we're going to work toward taking weight out of the hands and just letting the legs hold us here. So take a moment to sort of work out what that might feel like. And then really squeezing the inner thighs, draw your right knee in toward your right shoulder. Maybe play with taking the right hand off the mat. And this might be more than enough. Suddenly the right glute really turns on. Otherwise, maybe getting light in the left fingertips. Having a play with what it means to take the left hand off the mat, and wherever you are, holding for 3, 2, 1. Left hand comes down if it was lifted. Right hand comes down if it was lifted. Right knee stays to right tricep. Pick your right foot up off the mat. Big breath in. And then use the exhale. All we're going to do here is lower. Right knee down to right wrist. Right foot hooks across the body toward the left hip bone. Left knee comes down. Hips are still even. One more little balance play before we take a moment to really stretch this out, okay? So back toes might stay tucked because we want to work more stably here. If you want an extra challenge, feel free to untuck the back toes. For me, this is challenging enough. Squeeze the inner thighs. So we're staying high in our half pigeon. Squeeze the inner thighs, maybe start to come up onto the fingertips. If this is where you want to stay, please do so. If you have a chair or a wall, you might want to take your hands to it as we start to find more height, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Maybe hands come up away from the mat. Tilt the tailbone down, lengthen up through the crown of the head. And if you're feeling a little spicy today, maybe arms lift. Touch the ceiling. 3 big breaths here. And if the arms are up, slowly working them back. Down toward the mat. If the back toes are tucked, untuck them and slowly work your left leg back, keeping your hips even. Moving in toward your half pigeon. Now, if you have a pillow or something that you want to place underneath your right glute to keep your hips even, do so. Make sure that you're not rocking out onto it. Similarly, if you're quite open in this shape, make sure that you're not overcorrecting by really drawing the left hip bone down. So we see both. Keep the hips as even as you can. A good way to know this is if the back leg is straight behind you and the sole of the foot is pointing up to the ceiling. We don't want that ankle to sickle. So you might want to stay here upright, or we're going to start to work our upper body forward and down, maybe coming to the elbows, allowing the back of the neck to lengthen, the head to go heavy. And if you have more space here, if you have a prop, you might want to support yourself. You might want to start to reach the arms forward. Forehead can come to your hands or to the mat. Listening back into the sound of your breath. Noticing each point of connection you have with the mat beneath you. And allowing yourself to go a little heavier into those spaces. Use the breath to find a little more softness here. And if you've lowered all the way down, so they start to lift yourself back up toward your elbows. And if you're on your elbows, start to press into your hands, lifting back up. We're going to lose the evenness of the hip. So if you've got something underneath your right hip, you'll want to pull that out of the way. And we're going to swivel ourselves out onto it and to face the long edge of the mat, keeping the legs as wide as we can, but not so wide that both sit bones can't ground. So if you need to shuffle your legs a little closer together, go for it. Right heel is in toward the groin. Left heel is down, left toes are up. Both sit bones are down, lengthen up through the crown of the head. We're going to take the left hand down to the inside of the left leg. We're going to reach the right hand as far back in the other direction as we can. So lengthening from shoulder to shoulder, creating space through the underside, the left side. Keep that space. Inhale, circle the right arm up. And then start to circle the right arm over, lengthening out through the right side. If the shoulder or the neck isn't happy with this, it can be nice to bend the elbow and take the hand behind the head as well. Focusing on the elbow, drawing up toward the ceiling. Wherever you are, a few big breaths. Into the right side body. And if you've taken that bend of the elbow, you might want to start to reach your hand back up. Our anchor upward. Inhale, let's lift. And then exhale, turn to face toward the front of your mat, which is roughly where your right knee is. We're going to lean out in that direction, sweep the left foot forward and around to the outside of the right knee. Now that was a big movement, so we want to check in with our hips. Take both hands down to the mat, lift both hips up, and then work both hips back down. Try land your left sit bone first. Notice what happens. And then right. Sole of the left foot is down. Left knee points up. Both sit bones are grounded. You might want to just sit tall here. If this is feeling quite strong on the hips, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Otherwise, we're going to turn this into a closed twist. Left hand comes behind the left hip. If you're twisting with me, inhale, bring your right hand up toward the ceiling. Exhale, draw your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Draw your left shoulder back in space. Take a moment, pause. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of the head, grow taller. And then exhale, deepen that twist. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Exhale, deepen the twist. A nice massage for your torso. One more breath in. And out. And then unravel with the inhale. As you fill with breath, you come to face forward. We're going to take the left foot from the outside of the right knee and bring it to the inside of the knee. We're going to start to press down into the foot. So how can we press down into the foot and come up to standing? What needs to happen? Where does the body weight need to shift? And this is a lot to do with balance, is where we're holding our weight. So right now, it's right back in the hips. So the hips are going to need to come off the mat. Now I like to think about it all as like a seesaw between hips and shoulders. The weight transitions mostly in between these two places. If we take the shoulders forward, the hips are going to grow light. So at any point you need to, bring your hands down to the mat. Otherwise, we're going to work at pressing down through the left foot, lifting up, sending the right leg back behind us. We're coming toward our standing splits. This does not need to look like anything in particular. We're going to fold down over the left leg, reach the right hand high. Fingertips can be on the mat, or you can work into a little balance variations. We might not go quite as deep by keeping the hands away from the mat and away from the left leg for 3. You can watch your left foot stabilize. It's working hard. For 2. Or for 1, if your hands are up, bring your fingertips down, and then together let's all slowly bend through the right knee. Step the right foot down to the mat next to the left. Inhale, half lift, lengthen. Exhale, soften and fold. Press through the soles of the feet. Inhale, rise to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhaling here, And exhale, hands down by the body. We're going to flow through to our second side. As you inhale, circle the hands forward and uplift the heels. As you exhale, draw the weight back into the heels, bend the knees, sweep the hands forward and down. Brush the mat with the fingertips, keep the knees this bent. Inhale, sit back into your chair, lift Utkatasana. Exhale, sit a little lower. Inhale, reach a little higher. Exhale, Uttanasana, fold down over your legs, lift and spread through the sit bones. Inhale, half lift, lengthen out, hands to shins, gaze down. Exhale, fold, plant your hands on the mat, and then walk it back to your downward facing dog. Wrap the armpits in, take a deep breath in. And a full breath out. You can stay here, take a child's pose, or inhale, ripple forward to your plank. Bring the knees down or keep them lifted. Exhale, lower half or full chaturanga. Inhale to your cobra or your upward facing dog. Cobras lower down first, up dogs, pull feet and hands together, press back, down dog. We meet here with a big breath in. And a full breath out. The inhale is going to lift the left leg up. And we're going to lose the evenness of the hips, bend the knee, peel the left hip open. Start to look up underneath your left armpit. You can stay here, keep pressing firmly through the left hand, or start to work the right elbow down toward the mat. We need to be super active through the left hand if we're taking this option. Draw the left knee up even higher. Press out of the right shoulder for 3, 2, 1. And if that right elbow has come down, spread the fingers of the right hand, press into the palm, inhale, lift up. The exhale brings the left knee forward toward the left tricep. Inhale, pull the knee up a little higher. And then exhale, step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. We're working into that kind of funky lizard lunge variation. So taking the options that work best for you here. If that back knee needs to come down, please bring it down. Keep the toes tucked or untucked, whatever feels best. Otherwise, the back knee is lifted. We're working back through the heel, forward through the crown of the head, but inward into the hips. So squeezing the inner thighs toward each other. This is what's going to give us stability here. Start to feel what it would mean to take the weight completely into the feet, completely out of the hands. We're not going to do this all at once. Work through it slowly. Start to lift your left hand off the mat first. Keep drawing the right hip forward. Maybe now get light through the right palm. One fingertip at a time. Perhaps the right fingers lift away from the mat. We hold and we breathe. Keep the body long and low for 3, 2, 1. Right hand comes back down if it was lifted. Left hand comes back down if it was lifted. Left knee presses into left tricep. Lift your left foot up off the mat. Big breath in. Use the exhale to lower your left knee down toward your left wrist. And then flick your left toes out to the right. Bring the right knee down. Keep the back toes tucked or untucked, whatever works best. So the hips are still high. The hips are even. We're coming into the balance in our half pigeon first, and then we're working into the stretch. So if you have a chair, you might want to have your hands lift up onto the chair or to a wall by you. You can keep your hands on the mat, or we start to lift up to no hands. Lifting up into the fingertips first, if you're coming with me, and then transitioning weight into the leg, hips are even into the legs. Squeeze the inner thighs, draw in through the center line and lift up. Lifting up so much so that maybe hands reach towards ceiling. Lower ribs draw in and down. So we're not collapsing open into a back bend. 3 big breaths here, wherever you have found yourself. And if you're wobbling, let it wobble. Let that movement happen. Let's not fight. For 3, 2, One, if your hands are lifted, circling them forward and then carefully down. And then starting to draw the right leg back behind you a little more, but keep the hips even. Untuck the back toes, so lowering the hips toward the mat. They do not need to get all the way there. They do want to stay even. So if in order to keep that evenness, you want to pull a prop underneath the left glute, a pillow is a good option, a bolster or a block are great. Otherwise, if you do have the space to work both hips evenly downward, go for it. When you feel even, when that right leg is straight back behind you, sole of the foot pointing up, you can start to work on lowering the upper body, maybe elbows lower. Again, something supporting underneath the torso is beautiful here. Draw right hip forward, left hip back slightly. Ensure the back of the neck is lengthened, the face is soft. And if you have the space to walk the arms forward, bring the forehead down, feel free to do so. Just making sure you're not pushing this past a place that is sustainable. So if you're working all the way to 100%, pull back. If you have found your edge and you're sitting there, come back away from it. Know where it is, play around it, but keep it sustainable. Noticing where you're holding tension. And those parts that you hold that are unique to you, really start to let them soften. Might be the jaw, the shoulders, the eyebrows, the belly, somewhere entirely different. And then start to let that tension go. Breathe it out. Just take 3 more breaths here. And if you've lowered all the way down, start to work back toward your elbows. And if you're on your elbows, start to work up toward your palms. And we're gonna just swivel that again. So if you've got a prop underneath your left hip, taking that out of the way, starting to bring the left hip down toward the mat. Swiveling down to bring the right hip down and the sole of the right foot points up. I am not going to turn around to face you because we're going to be here only for a moment. If the legs are too wide, actually this is good for you to see, my right hip is lifting because my legs are too wide apart. So I'm going to pull my right leg in just enough to ground both sit bones down. My left heel is toward my groin, my right toes are pointing up toward the ceiling. Both sit bones are anchoring down. Right hand comes toward the inside of the right leg. Left hand reaches back. Create as much space from shoulder to shoulder as we can and feel your right side lengthen. Keep that length as you reach the left arm up and then over to lengthen out through the left side as well. So we don't want to just be collapsing down into the right side. Instead, we want to be reaching everything a little longer. If it's more comfortable to bring the hand behind the head, do so. Tracking elbow to ceiling. And breathing here. And a few big breaths into your left side. And if you've taken your hand behind your head, reaching your left hand back up, lifting yourself all the way back up. We're going to pick that right foot up and swivel it all the way around toward the front of the mat, bringing it toward the outside of the left knee. So as you have brought your left foot to the outside of your right foot to the outside of your left knee, maybe that right hip is lifting high, press into your hands, pick both hips up, place them back down, maybe even the right hip first. How does that feel? So both sit bones are anchoring down. Hands to your right knee, lengthen up through the crown of the head, relax the shoulders back and down. Maybe we want to stay here. Otherwise, we're coming to that closed twist, right hand behind the right hip. The inhale draws the left hand up toward the ceiling, reaching long. Then as you exhale, hook left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Inhale, sit tall, crown of the head toward the ceiling. Draw the right shoulder back. Exhale, find the twist. Inhale for length. Exhale to twist. One more breath in. And out. The inhale helps us unravel, fill with breath. And we're going to take the right foot, which is currently to the outside of the left knee, to the inside of the left knee. So unraveling some of that tightness. The right foot is pressing completely down into the mat. One final time, we're coming back to standing. How do we do it from here? Can we do it with no hands? So we need to bring the weight out of the hips, forward toward the shoulders. So leaning the weight forward, plant through the right foot, lift the hips. And then plant through the right foot some more. Lift the left knee. And we're going to come into that funky little half split variation. So start to lift the left foot away from the mat. Your fingertips can always be down to support. Or maybe we're challenging ourselves by keeping them away from the mat as much as possible. As you draw the left leg back first and then up. Start to fold down over your right leg. Keep your belly toward your right thigh. Maybe look toward your right foot. Watching it stabilize your shape. For 3. 2. For 1. Fingertips come down if they're lifted. Left knee bends and left foot grounds. Nice and slowly. Inhale, half lift, lengthen. Exhale, soften and fold over your legs. One final time to standing. Inhale. Coming all the way up, sweeping the arms wide and up, perhaps the palms press. And then exhale, draw the hands through the center line toward your heart. Maybe the eyes close. Let's just take a few breaths here, feeling what it is to stand. Standing just as we were at the beginning of our practice. Maybe we're a little more aware of each part of our body, of each little movement that we make, of each breath that we take. Sitting within this presence we have cultivated. When you're ready, blink open the eyes, bring your hands down by your body. Take your feet out 2 hip distance apart. We're going to reach the hands back behind us, interlace the fingers. And if you feel quite tight through the shoulders here, holding on to something like a t-shirt or a strap, anything to give yourself some space in between your hands is a really nice option. Otherwise, we're going to soften the knees, take belly to thighs. Let the head rest heavy. Inhale, draw the hands up toward the ceiling. Feel the shoulder blades really draw in toward each other. Then as you exhale, if there's space, start to work the hands forward or overhead. Head is heavy, neck is long, jaw is relaxed, face is soft.
Where is your weight in your feet? Maybe it's a little more forward and toward the toes. Let that happen. This might allow you to lift and spread the sit bones some more. For 3. For 2. For 1. If your hands are worked forward, start to draw them back up toward the ceiling. And then back toward your lower back. If you're holding something, release your grip from it. And place it back down. Let's release the hands down toward the mat in front of us. Feet are hip distance apart. If you want to work them a little wider, go for it by coming into a squat. Start to bend the knees. Keep your belly resting on your thighs. Nice and slow. Start to reach the hands forward, forward, forward. Trying to bring the feet a little closer than your normal malasana. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, work your sit bones down to the mat. Walk your feet a little bit further forward. Bring your hands down by your body. Inhale. And as you exhale, draw both knees out to the left, windscreen wipering the legs. Inhale up through center. Exhale to the right. And let's just do one more, other side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, coming up through center. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees go wide. I'm going to turn to face you. So working first to draw the heels as close to the groin as possible. Sitting tall, anchoring down through the sit bones, lengthening up through the crown of the head. You can wrap your pointer and middle finger around your big toe, or you can interlace the fingers and take the hands underneath the feet, opening the feet wide like a book. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of the head some more. Roll the shoulders back and down. If there's space, as you exhale, start to hinge at the hip, sending the torso forward without losing the length of the spine. So this might not be a big movement at all. This might just be the idea of the movement where you stay sitting tall, anchoring down, lengthening up. Wherever you are, filling the space in your body for 3. 2. 1. If you have taken it forward, start to lift yourself back up. And if reaching for the feet here, sitting upright, is starting to pull you to collapse, you can take your hands away from your feet. If it feels quite nice on the shoulders to hold the feet, do so. We're going to lengthen up through the crown of the head, release the shoulders down. As you exhale, just a slow, gentle movement, right ear toward right shoulder. And then as you inhale, come back up through center. And the exhale takes left ear toward left shoulder. Inhale, come back up through center. If you have a hold of your feet still, release them. Shift your feet forward, keep the soles together so the legs make more of a diamond shape. We're going to turn to face our left knee. Left hand comes to post to the outside of the left hip. Right hand sweeps underneath the knee to grab the underside of it. We're going to allow the spine to curl now. So inhale, looking toward your left knee. Exhale, draw chin towards chest, roll up as you lower. Maybe crown of the head toward the knee. A nice good grip with that right hand, so you're really starting to create space underneath the right scapula, the shoulder blade. Breathe into that space. And then releasing the grip on the right knee, starting to unroll. And coming back up to a long spine. And then turning to face center.
And turning even further to face toward your right knee. Right hand comes down toward the outside of the hip, left hand comes underneath. Grab a hold. Inhale, looking at your right knee. Exhale, draw chin to chest, curl in toward it. Maybe sending the crown of the head toward it. Drawing against your left hand to open the space underneath the left shoulder blade. And loosening some of the grip on the left hand, starting to unroll, come back up. Lengthening the spine first, and then turning to face center. We're going to wrap arms underneath ankles, palms turn to face up, or maybe hands come onto feet. And we let the head release downward, the spine curls slightly, the shoulder blades melt away from each other. Moving across the lower back, the inner thighs, the upper back, the neck. Relaxing the jaw, the eyebrows, the skull. No effort here. No pushing, no pulling. Just working with gravity to surrender. If you haven't already, releasing from your ujjayi breath and letting the breath move more softly. And start to unravel arms from legs and come back up into a seated position. Use the help of the hands to draw the knees toward each other. Ground the soles of the feet down. Walk the feet out to hip distance apart. And we're going to make our way down onto our backs. We're taking your time to lower. We're going straight to our Shavasana. If there are any final poses, any final shapes you feel you need to make with your body before stillness, go for it. Otherwise, as you come down, place yourself carefully and adjust as you need to until you feel even and comfortable. Let the toes roll out gently to either side. The legs go heavy. The hips go heavy. And the belly softens. And the breath has free range of movement. And the shoulders roll back and down, shoulder blades drawing down toward the kidneys to give the chest space, the collarbones space. And turn the palms facing up, a gesture of openness, of a willingness to receive, to experience. Start to notice each point that you have connecting toward the mat beneath you. And grow heavier into those points. No more effort here. If in stillness your mind starts to connect to whatever sounds are going on around you, and to move off into those spaces or create stories around them, notice that. Be aware, be gentle with yourself, and carefully coax your mind back to this moment, to this body, to the sensation within it, to the glow that your practice has left, and to the way it resonates through your entire being. Keep coming back to the self. If you have more time to stay here, please do enjoy the stillness, the surrender after all of that movement, after all of that effort. Otherwise, if you're ready to move forward with your day, start to bring your awareness to the upward facing parts of your body, the parts that are facing the room, the space around you. And starting to feel that upward lift of energy, that lightness. It's an invitation to bring movement back so that you can start to move toward that space. Gently moving the body in any way that feels right. And taking your time to lift to a seated position. Gathering the hands together at the heart, turning the corners of the mouth up, an acknowledgement inward to your effort, your dedication, an acknowledgement outward to the connection that we share beyond being in the same room, the same space, and how beautiful that is. With gratitude, let's draw chin to chest and end our practice together. Namaste. Thanks everyone. Let me know if you have any questions or any more requests for next week. And I will see you on your mat on Wednesday.